I'm not the bad guy for telling my son I'm disappointed that he invited his girlfriend to his graduation instead of me. My son is graduating next month, and for some reason his school hasn't changed the rules back to how they were before a couple years ago. This means you get to invite 2 people, no exceptions. I called to confirm that. My son and his girlfriend have been together for 3 years. She is a year older, so she already graduated. My son had a talk with me last week. He explained that since he is only able to have 2 people and he'd like his girlfriend to attend, that he just wants her and my husband to be there. He claims that he picked randomly which of us will have to stay home, but I'm not sure about that. I told him that while I'll be respect his decision and obviously I can't force him to change it, I'm disappointed. I explained that while this was his moment, it's something I want to be there for. I told him I felt it was a little silly to have his high school girlfriend come over one of his parents. He got angry at that and said I wasn't taking his relationship seriously. He ended the conversation after that. My husband understands my frustration and even offered to switch with me, but I don't want him to miss it either. He thinks I should have just let it go and not argue it. So am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for telling my cousin it's not a privilege to babysit her kids? I have a cousin Sylvia. Sylvia has twin girls who are 4 years old now. When she got pregnant, her boyfriend broke up with her and moved to another city. She was really heartbroken and had postnatal depression. So the entire family took turns taking care of her babies for the first year or so. Now it's just my sister and I who help because everyone else have either moved to another city or have kids of their own to look after. I also have a fiancée, Sarah. Sarah got into a car accident a few weeks ago, and I took a break from work to stay home and take care of her. Sylvia heard I'm taking time off work and asked if I could take the kids full-time for 1 week while she focuses on some exams she's taking. I said I'm sorry, I wish I could, but I have my hands full with my fiancé. Sarah can't do much for herself at the moment and is in constant pain. It's also a lot for me to bear seeing her like this, and I don't have the mental or emotional capacity to take care of anyone else. Sylvia asked if Sarah is the one who told me to say no, and I said no. I'm the one saying no because I genuinely can't. Sylvia said 2 4 years old are much work and they're quiet kids, so they wouldn't be too much to deal with. I said I know her kids, and while they're not super disruptive, it'd still be too much for me to handle. I took time off work to take care of Sarah, not to take care of her kids too. I said sorry again and asked her to ask around for someone else to help. She said fine, and ending that conversation. A few days after the initial conversation, she FaceTimed me to say she realized I don't prioritize family because I'm picking my fiancé over her, and she won't be bringing the kids to me anymore. I laughed at the absurdity and told her to stop acting like me babysitting her kids is a privilege for me. I do it because I love and care for her and want to do her a favor. Babysitting is a favor for her, not a favor for me. She said I've taken it too far now and hanging up the call. I completely forgot about her and the conversation because Sarah was doing a bit worse and we had to go back to the hospital. But Sylvia sent me a message saying she can't believe I haven't even reached out to her since. I haven't responded and don't plan on it. So, was I a bad guy? Am I the bad guy for not telling my cousin that her fiancé was my summer camp fling for 3 years? I grew up very close to my cousin, and we have stayed close as can be, but live in different states. During my summers for several years, I went to a month-long camp, where first year I was camper, next year CIT, then counselor. First year I met Kenny, and it was instant soul-crushing love, where he was literally all I thought about for a year. Next year we actually dated, In third year, we actually found a way to essentially live together and talk about coordinating colleges, getting engaged, kids' names, and all that kind of stuff. We drifted apart, but we'll still text, and to be honest, I kind of always hoped we have found ourselves back to each other. I did know that my cousin and Kenny went to the same school and had the same major, so I wasn't surprised when they started dating. As near as I can surmise, I know about Kenny's dating her, but he did not know that she was my cousin. So I've known about them for about a year, but I didn't want to interrupt her being happy, and the opportunity to tell her never come up. Whole family met Kenny over Mother's Day. I knew he was coming, so I tried very hard to stay low-key. My mom is so obnoxious that when Kenny arrived, she basically screamed, "You look just like that little boy that Vivi had plastered all over wall. Is your name Kenny?" He said yes, and he clearly wanted to crawl into a hole. As did I. We said our hellos and nice to see you agains, but it was very awkward. A little gathering was fine, and I avoided him for the most part. At about 9 the next morning, my cousin called me, and she was both hungover and drunk and furious at me that I didn't tell her. I guess he spilled the beans and told her how serious we were. She feels very betrayed by me that I allowed her to get so invested in a guy with whom I had a pregnancy scare. For some reason, this really stuck under his skin. I tried to explain, but she's having none of it. I tried to call Kenny to see what I can do, and it appears he blocked me. I feel awful that she's hurt. I made a choice about what to reveal to her, but I guess I made the wrong one. So am I the bad guy? Am I the bad guy for allegedly causing my coworker to lose out on $4,000? My coworker and I have been choosing to attend a work-sponsored international conference at the end of the year. As the conference has 1,000 plus attendees, the workshop and discounted hotel rooms fill up, sell out pretty quickly. I've been monitoring the conference website daily and even shared the site with my coworker. On the day the registration opened, discounted hotel rooms become available. I text my coworker early in the morning to give a heads up. My coworker replied to my text asking if I could book him a room, to which I replied I couldn't, because the hotel requires a lot of info that I didn't have. When I got into work, he was visibly upset. He showed me a printed invoice for a hotel room that he had booked on a third-party travel site that added up to $4,000 and was non-refundable. The discounted price I was paid is around $1,800. In addition, I had the conference website open and was complaining that the link in the discounted hotel rate was not visible. I was in shock as this coworker prided himself on being the least impulsive, responsible person in the office. I didn't want to upset him further, so I offered to help him look up the cancellation policies for the booking company. He became absolutely upset. And finally, I asked if he wanted me to just leave him to figure it out. He raised his voice, "Yeah, leave me alone." Later on in the day, I attempted to check in on him, to which he ignored me. When I went to turn in my travel info to our boss, my boss mentioned that my coworker had canceled his reservation with the book site and was waiting to see how much he could recuperate. It's been 3 days, and today I confronted my coworker to talk about what happened. He angrily replied, "If you aren't going to help me to get my $4,000 back, we have nothing to talk about." I was in disbelief, as it sounded like he's blaming me for his actions. I feel really bad for him, possibly losing out on this much money. But am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for telling my parents I won't be their live-in babysitter or take care of my baby sibling for them? I'm an only child, and that position will be expiring in October, when my parents have their second child. There will always supposed to be one and done with me. Something I was aware of was partly due to them finding childcare ridiculously expensive and my mom enjoying her job too much to stay home. I think another part of they are not very natural parents and are pretty much entirely hands off. We never do anything as a family and they are not very involved in my life. They pay for stuff and that is their contribution to my life. The pregnancy was a big shock for them and for me. I heard them discussing what a help they will do, and my mom was repeatedly saying she was not going to stay at home and she was not going to take much maternity leave, that she wants to be back at work ASAP. They complained about how much it will cost to get someone to watch the baby while they're working during the summers and stuff. I heard them mention me, and I was like, oh no, hell no. They sat me down a week ago and told me they have these plans for me to watch the baby for 3-4 hours after school until they get home from work. It would involve quieting all my after school stuff and not hanging out with friends after school either. They also want me to stay home next summer and to consider hanging around to be there for the next few summers. I was like, no way. They told me I'm going to be a big sister now, and that's a part of the family. I have responsibilities. I told them they had responsibilities as parents, and I'm not a parent, and I'm the child in their house. They told me not for long. I said I could just rush to graduation and leave, so they can use me as a free childcare. I don't think they expected these reactions from me, or the thought I had put into it. After I heard them talk with each other, I found out I could graduate in December by talking to my guidance counselor. I almost finished my junior year now and could finish senior year early with the grades I keep and the work I do. That is definitely the most appealing option to me, and I'll be 17 in a couple of weeks anyway. My parents were really unhappy with me, and they told me I'm going to miss out on so much by doing this. I told them I won't take care of the rise the baby for them, that I have my own life and being stuck with a baby is not part of it. They told me I'm being incredibly selfish and to think about what I'm throwing away. They also said I won't be a very good sister if I refuse to be part of the baby's life. What do you guys think? I'm at the beggar for refusing to cook more for the unexpected friend my boyfriend brought home after he was already late, and then go to bed. My boyfriend was supposed to come at mine around 8 p.m. so we could have dinner together. He didn't show up until an hour later, and when he arrived he was with a friend. I greeted his friend and asked my boyfriend to follow me in the kitchen. I asked him why he was late and what was his friend doing here. He said that on his way home, he ran into the friend. They went to get drinks, and when he saw the time, he invited him to eat with us. I asked why he didn't warn me before allowing him to come eat with us. He answered he didn't think it's bothered me. When I told him that I didn't cook enough for 3, he said that it wasn't too late for me to cook more for his friend. I refused and said no. It is too late for me to cook more for your friend because it's already close to 9:30 p.m. and I have to wake up early for work tomorrow. He asked what was his friend supposed to eat then. I replied that he could either cook for his friend or give him my plate, and then went to bed after saying a quick goodbye to his friend. I heard the front door open and shut minutes later, and I fell asleep. When I wake up, I received a couple of texts from my boyfriend saying that my behavior yesterday was very rude, that his friend had felt unwelcome, and me being mad at him wasn't an excuse for the way I had treated his friend. I didn't reply, but now I feel guilty because I didn't want to make his friend feel unwelcome. Am I the bad guy? I'm at the beggar for refusing to help with my ex-dog's vet bills. My ex-wife wanted a purebred dog as a pet when we were together. I tried to talk her into a rescue dog, but she said no. I tried to talk her into adopting a mutt, since they are generally healthier than all the inbred pure dogs. No, she had to have a very specific dog. This particular breed is famously bad at breathing. I could afford it, so I finally gave in. I got her the dog she wanted. It was never our dog. He was her dog. Unless it was unpleasant outside. Then I had to walk him. I also pay all the vet bills and dog-related bills. When we divorced, she took her dog with her. No kids, thank God, so no child support. No spousal support either. Well, it has been about 6 months since I heard from her. The dog is not doing well and needs some fairly extensive and expensive surgery. Since we had our baby, she wants me to pay for the operations. I said no, thank you. Now she's pissed and is contacting my friends and family trying to get me to change my mind. Some of my friends are starting to take her side. They say that I'm being a bad guy for not helping an animal that I used to care about. I don't think I owe her any help. I thought buying him was a bad idea. I was repeatedly told he wasn't mine, and she left with him, and I have not seen them in months. I'm at the beggar for telling my wife that she needs to get over being upset with me for pulling a scare prank on our son. Last Friday night, I was hanging out with my daughter, watching a movie. My wife was working late while our son was hanging out with his friends. Around 8 p.m., his friend's mom texted me letting me know that she was driving him home. I thanked her and then let my daughter know that her brother was on his way. She then suggested that we play a prank on him, in which we jump out and scare him. I thought it would be a funny practical joke, and a long story short, she and I ended up putting on scary Halloween masks, dimming the lights, and hiding behind the couch. Then I texted his friend's mom and told her that his sister and I were watching a movie and to send him to the family room downstairs. When he got home and came in. We heard him come in and say, "Hello?" and then come down the stairs. When he got close, we jumped down at him and shouted. Now, here's where I fully admit I messed up. I thought he'd just be startled for a second and then would laugh with us over the prank, but that's not what happened. We ended up frightening him way more than I anticipated. He first started running off and then ended up having a huge, trembling, crying, adrenaline dump for a long time. I feel really bad, and so did his sister. However, she has stayed mad at me for all those days afterwards. She will barely talk to me. I eventually got tired of it and told her that she needed to get over it. I screwed up, but I didn't mean any harm. I just way underestimated how much our prank will scare our son. I also think that our daughter is seeing how she is treating me over it and is being made to feel way too bad over her idea that was just playful, not bad-natured. But she just said that I should have known better and won't seem to forgive me. I get it, she's always been a complete mama bear, but it's not as if I don't love our kids. Was my prank honestly so beyond that pale that I deserve to keep being punished over it? I'm at the beggar for kicking my mom out of my wedding. I'm 28, male, and my wife is 29. We got married 2 weeks ago. For a backstory, I'm transgender male. I came out when I started my freshman year. My mom didn't support that idea. She isn't religious or anything, but her stance on it is if I'm born female, I will always be female. Always, I met my wife when we were in college. Around that time, me and my mom's relationship was rocky, but still keep in touch here and there. My wife met my mom at the family gathering. My mom ignored her a lot and barely talked to her. She felt so overwhelmed that we just left. I apologized profusely for my mom's behavior, but she just told me it was fine. And we went home to cuddle and watch the movie. Skipping forward a few years, I told my mom I was going to propose to my girlfriend, and she told me in her exact words, "I don't like that you're going to marry a girl. That's disgusting." It really broke my heart for my mom saying that. While we had a rocky relationship, I still loved and respect my mom. After that day, I just left and cried to my wife. After I proposed and we were planning our wedding, we thought about who we should invite and who we shouldn't. My wife suggested I should invite my mom, but I said no, and that she wouldn't support us getting married. She told me that the last I could do is send her an invite, and if she doesn't show up, then it's fine. I budgeted anyway and sent my mom an invitation. A couple of days later, she told me we'll come so she could see me on my big day. On my wedding day, everything went great until the reception. My mom came up to me and told me how disgusting I was for kissing a girl, and she didn't raise her daughter to be this way. I had enough. I blew up at her saying she was a horrible mother, she gaslit me too many times, took out and never supported me even though it made me happy. I told her she was verbally abusive and still is. The only reason I keep in contact with her was because of my sisters. I told her to get the hell out of my wedding and tell her not to ever contact me again. She refuses to leave, so I told my best man and one of my groomsmen to take her out. It made such a huge scene that it was slightly embarrassing, but it feels so good to let all my anger out. During me and my wife's honeymoon, I got a bunch of text messages from my aunt and uncles telling me that I was a bad guy for blowing up at my mother and calling her a horrible person. They told me at least she showed up. I ignored all the message, but I've been feeling slightly guilty. So am I the bad guy here?